Hello everyone, SciTech here. So lately in the Co subreddit, I've seen a lot of discussion about the Panther and its anti-infantry performance. This video is not really about the Panther's balance status. I understand people's frustrations with it. It can be a real menace in team games with its mobility, range, main gun accuracy, and general beefiness, making it a big threat that's hard to counter. I could see the Panther getting nerfed. I wouldn't mind if it received some light nerfs in the future, but like I said, that's not why I'm making this video. I'm making this video in response to this other video that I keep getting linked to that people are holding up as, Panther OP evidence, where we see one Panther kill one squad of conscripts faster than a Comet does. And so we're just going to talk about the several problems with using that as evidence. So, well, first thing I should probably mention is how this just isn't a realistic representation of gameplay at all. I mean, who's going to let their infantry squad just sit in front of the Panther for 30 seconds and get chipped away at by its MGs? Once your squad is under attack from a tank, you're obviously going to move it to cover or just out of the way. And on the other side, when you think about what the Comet would achieve in a similar situation where it gets to drive up, score one or two hits, and then the squad leaves, retreats, enters cover, something like that, that's where the main gun is going to have a bigger, call it like an alpha strike impact, because one shot could drop several models, whereas the Panther's going to roll up, fire, squirt a few bursts from its MGs and maybe drop one model, but that squad will be able to move out of the way before getting killed. But regardless of whether this is a realistic gameplay test or not, all the conditions here are optimized to make the Panther's anti-infantry performance shine. First, you have the selection of the conscript as the target squad, which has a target size of 1.09, second worst in the game after Osttruppen. So with a high received accuracy, it's basically a magnet for the small arms fire. The Panther's anti-infantry DPS comes almost entirely from its triple MGs. So a conscript squad out in the open with no cover is basically the best target that you could have chosen to have the Panther shred it. And it's also pretty bad for the Comet because it doesn't have that third MG. It relies on its main gun, and this is a 6-model squad spread out, so there's no clumping, there's no chance to... As I'm sure people who've played the game a lot have experienced, a main gun like the Comet or the P4, for example, or H.E. Sherman, can wipe entire squads with one shot if they're all really, really bunched up on yellow cover. But that's obviously not going to happen here because there is no bunching, and it's a squad with a high model count. Anyways, that aside, we've got to collect more data, in my opinion, so we're going to run this test exactly the way I saw it, with an upgraded Panther versus upgraded Comet against a lone conscript out in the open at about 30 range. And we're going to run this test, I guess 8 times is probably all I'll really have the patience for, and try and get an accurate average time to kill. So we're going to do this with just a stopwatch. Select all these conscripts. Oops. Make them all enemies and record the time to kill for each of these 4 separate engagements. And here we go in 3, 2, 1. Four. So I recorded times to kill of 21 seconds, 33 and a half, 36 and a half, and 41 and a half, give or take a few tenths of a second. Do the same thing over here, and then set it up again. I'll have to reload the map because these main gunshots cause a bit of light cover to appear. But let's get this one done. Starting it in 3, 2, 1. And 4. So the times I got there were 19 seconds, 21 seconds. 26.9, round that to 27, and 33.5. So just rounding those to the nearest half second. Now I'm going to do it again. So we're going to record this one more time, and that way I'll be able to confidently say that my sample size was octuple what we saw in that other video. Reposition the Panthers to avoid the spots of yellow cover.
Tank ready
And in case you're wondering why these Panthers have to be over here on the outside of the range, otherwise their main guns would be able to reach the adjacent squads. We don't want that, so here we go. Round 2. Beginning in 3, 2, 1. And 4. So those times were a little bit faster on average than the first round. We had 22, 24.5, 26.5, and 31. Run it back. In 3, 2, 1, go. And 4. And that time for the Comets, we had 21, 22.5, 26, and the last one, sadly, 38.5. Gonna bring the average up, but that's all part of it. The Panthers had some good average times, Comets had some good average times, Panthers had some bad average times, Comets had some bad average times, and I'm gonna average this all out in just a moment. So at the end of all this, I've found an average time to kill for the Panther of 29.5 seconds and an average time for the Comet of 26. There were outliers in both tests. There was one really long time to kill for the Panther at 41.5 seconds, and there was one really long time to kill for the Comet at 38.5. But this does definitively prove that the Comet is better at killing infantry than the Panther is. And you also, very, very important to keep in mind that nothing about this test is realistic to gameplay, and everything about it is configured to the Panther's advantage. You should have noticed that the Comet was occasionally able to score some really big hits. If its main gun lands right in the center of the squad, that's going to kill multiple models usually and chip away at the damage of the entire squad. And those are the hits that really count when it comes to infantry, anti-infantry in-game, because tanks don't just get to sit here for 30 seconds and kill a whole squad before the enemy does anything about it. That squad's going to move out of the way. Anti-tank is going to come to respond to the threat. And it's those alpha strikes that really make that really have an impact in actual gameplay. So hopefully this was persuasive for some. I know for some, especially the team game players who are never going to escape the nuisance that is the Panther, it's not going to change any minds on that side. But at the end of the day, main point, concluding point is that your video showing that the Panther is, quote, better at killing infantry than the Comet is bunk.